This video is brought to you by Skillshare, the online learning platform where you can join millions of others to further your own knowledge and become even better, no matter your interests. But more on this a little later. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Elune here, and welcome back to each of one of it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us. I am very happy to have you here. Now, before we get into it, I have bad news. I've been hearing rumors that the like button just below this video, it's been saying things about your mum. I don't want to repeat what it said because it's pretty bad. My suggestion would be to spank the living fuck out of it. Just hit it once and that's good. You know what? If you're so angry, you can even hit the dislike button twice. Just gonna throw that out there, right? Now that you know, I've informed you, I've done my duty, I'm not gonna go into it. It would not be okay. YouTube would probably block the video if I told you what the like button has been saying about your mother. But just do that, Show the like button who is boss. And then remember, you can join us over on Twitch, link in the description down below, live every Tuesday to Friday if you want more of these conversations a little bit more informally than what these videos can offer you. And then, of course, to all of the patrons, I cannot thank you enough. Thanks to you, videos like this one is possible. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Anyways, I've wasted enough of your time. Because I do value your time, I just want to throw that out there. The video will be split into different chapters. You can look at the timeline down below, click on whichever chapter you want to go to. If you feel like I'm talking too much, I'm wasting your time, I honor your time, I value it, as do you. So yeah, we made that for you, so it's a little bit easier. All thanks goes to Alex. First thing I want to focus on is the fight between Tyrande and Sylvanas. We see them facing off, and it's pretty equally matched. Although, after watching the cinematic quite a few times now, I do want to sort of contradict myself and say that it does appear as if Tyrande definitely has a slight upper hand. Tyrande clearly on the attack, clearly very fast, very strong. Sylvanas more blocking, although never seemingly in danger. She's not convinced that Tyrande can actually take her life. Of course, then we have a very interesting moment that also happens here, where it does not appear as if Sylvanas herself wishes to take Tyrande's life. And for those of you that is ardent Sylvanas haters, you might despise the fact that I say this, but there is a moment in the fight where the horn is blasting off in the distance. Tyrande turns her back on Sylvanas. At this very moment in time, Sylvanas has every opportunity to end Tyrande's life. One arrow to the head, good game, thanks for playing. However, Sylvanas doesn't do that. Instead, she flies off. Clearly, the diversion worked. She's not here for the Night Warrior. She's not here to kill Tyrande. Now, my belief in this even further solidifies itself when we go to the moment where Tyrande's Night Warrior powers start to fail. And we're going to get into why this may have happened, and I'm going to look at multiple angles of why this could have happened. But in that moment, Sylvanas does not appear gleeful. She does not appear to mock Tyrande. Instead, I get a sense of sincerity. I'm not saying she's 100% sincere, but I do get a sense of sincerity. Sylvanas maybe understands the powerlessness that Tyrande is feeling now, and you'll get into why I think that might be in a little bit into the video. But I do think that there's a part of Sylvanas that understands this neglect, that understands that the gods do what the gods want, regardless of your feelings, regardless of your goals and ambitions. When the gods want something or do not want something, what you do matters very little. And Sylvanas definitely appears to sort of relate to that feeling. First things first, let's talk about the obvious elephant in the room. Why did Elune remove her power from Tyrande? Now, everyone's first thought was oath magic. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, in the cinematic, Tyrande clearly states, now is the time, this is what I've been waiting for. And then she says in Darnassian, or Night Elven, she says, my life for hers. So Tyrande enters into an oath with Elune. Now, oaths, generally speaking, in most fantasy settings, are binding. When you make an oath, even if you weren't mortally wounded, if you said my life for hers or my life for his, when you kill them, you will die too. You've inexplicably or intrinsically meshed or merged your life force with theirs. In other words, one dies, the other will die as well. However, this is usually more set up, so there should have been some kind of blood pact that is made, some kind of link between the two characters. In this instance, we are talking about a completely different fantasy world. We are talking about World of Warcraft, where oath magic is not as well established. Now, let me be clear. It's not that oaths do not exist. It's that oaths are continuously broken. People seem to go back on their word quite often, and it does not appear as if there's any repercussions to doing so. So, oath magic is not as well established within the World of Warcraft lore. It doesn't mean that Blizzard can't now decide that they want to make oath magic a more fundamental part of the World of Warcraft story. It's Blizzard's game, they can do whatever they want. However, based on historical evidence, it does not appear as if oaths are binding in that way. Tyrande would have, in that moment, been able to snap Sylvanas' neck. She would have killed Sylvanas without suffering any mortal damage or any sort of mortal wounds that may have ended her life. At that moment, all Elune had to do was rescind her power. So in other words, pull back and say, right, Tyrande, you've done what you wanted to do. I am now freeing you of my power. If Elune truly wished to save her. Now, this is where we get into my second problem with the arguments around oath magic, and that is when Tyrande made that oath, when Tyrande said my life for hers, Elune at that moment could have said, nope, I'm yeeting my power out of this. I have no interest in killing you. You still have a job to do. However, Elune didn't do that. Elune sent Tyrande after Sylvanas. She gave her that power. And in the moment that she could have ended Sylvanas' life, it's as if Elune remembers something else. It's as if Elune realizes that this is not what she wants, either for Tyrande or for Sylvanas. It really depends, right? But it doesn't appear like this is what Elune wanted. Instead, it feels almost more like a lesson. I don't want you to kill the Banshee Queen. It feels like Elune went, yeah, all right, I'll give you the power to catch up to her. But in that moment, in the moment that you have your victory, I am going to remove my power so that you realize I am not interested in killing the Banshee Queen. For whatever reason, we're going to get into in a moment. However, oath magic, it does not appear to be. There is, of course, another elephant in the room, something that a lot of people might not want to acknowledge, but it is definitely worth talking about. Tyrande's state, the state that Tyrande was in. When last we saw Tyrande prior to the cinematic, she was on the verge of death. If you don't remember, I had a video on this where Tyrande basically had like 25% health remaining, and it would go right back down to like 1 HP and then shoot back up to 25% HP. And at that time, I sort of explained she would have started at 100, going down to 1 and then back to 100. But because of the span of time, Tyrande has been losing power. She's become far weaker. So when Tyrande wishes to engage with someone outside of being empowered by the Night Warrior, she would be a lot weaker than what she is, at full strength before she became the Night Warrior. So the Night Warrior's powers have already been taking its toll on her. So there is every possibility that in that moment where Tyrande had her hands around Sylvanas' neck, Tyrande simply didn't have the power left. And I'm talking about Tyrande the elf, not Tyrande the Night Warrior. She no longer had the power to continuously channel Elune's wrath. She could no longer sustain that level of damage or that level of power, and therefore the power had to be pulled back. So Elune had to remove her power, otherwise she would have lost Tyrande, and Tyrande wouldn't have been able to pick up the kill anyways because she was fading faster than what she could actually kill Sylvanas. There's every possibility that this is happening and that this is what happened. However, again, is it something that is it an answer that I think makes sense and would be satisfying to me? Probably not. The fact of the matter is, this is what Tyrande wanted. This is all Tyrande wanted. If anything, this is a clear example of why Sylvanas wishes to end everything. We mortals make plans, we decide to do certain things, and the gods decide nope. Just nope. How's about I remove my power before you get to do the thing that you actually sworn to do from the very beginning when I granted you the powers of the Night Warrior? This is exactly what Tyrande set out to do. Remember, this didn't happen yesterday, right? Tyrande didn't just magically show up with these powers. We went through the quest line. We saw how Tyrande got her magical Night Warrior powers. This was the oath that she made from day one. And at the moment of fulfilling her oath, at the moment of fulfilling the very thing that she wanted to do, Elune decides, nope, not gonna happen. If you listen to every cinematic where Sylvanas speaks to Anduin, it becomes very clear this is what Sylvanas wishes to stop. The idea that mortals are simply pawns in the hands of the gods. And this might actually explain, and hopefully, Alex, you can put up, just insert that cinematic here.
Once again, she denies you victory.
Mother Moon, do not forsake me. End this!
Bask in the dying embers of your goddess's bargain, Tyrande. Nothing lasts.
Sylvanas seems sincere. It actually bothers her. Bask in the embers of your goddess's dying bargain, Tyrande. There's a sadness there, a sincerity, understanding that, yep, you make deals, but the gods do not honor them. Perhaps there's more truth to this than we might think. Before we continue with what I actually believe might be a relevant theory, I want to tell you about Skillshare. They have combined fun with learning, where every class is optimized to help you learn. From life hacks to business success, if you can think it, there is likely a class on Skillshare for you. Every day, millions of people use Skillshare to better themselves, and now you can become one of them. Skillshare is so certain that their platform works that they will give the first 1,000 people to click the link 1 month premium membership, just to try it out and see if it is actually for you. What do you have to lose? Right now, I am taking a class on creative writing with Roxanne Gay. The class focuses primarily on how to approach writing, how to mesh truth with the creative process, and most importantly, how to review your work. Since I want to get into more scripted content, this seemed like a no-brainer for me, and the class actually works. So click the link in the description down below and start your journey. What do you have to lose? So on to what I consider to be big brain theory. And it is big brain theory time because, yeah. Could it be that there is another link? A link that we have not considered, but a link that no less may exist. A link between Sylvanas and Elune. Perhaps a bargain that was struck far earlier. Or perhaps just the devotion of a prior subject. Not much is known about Sylvanas' formative years. We do know some about her family, and we do know that her family was high-ranking individuals, but as far as the ins and outs, the belief systems, those things are not well known. Of course, we do know about Elven society. Again, not as much as we would have liked, but we do at least know that the elves, as a rule, do not worship Elune. The Night Elves do. The elves, however, do not. But the Night Elves used to be part of Highborn society. They used to be part of the original elves. Remember, the elves simply came from the trolls, and from there, different elven groups established themselves. The Night Elves, of course, kept close to the forest, kept close to the roots, and obviously kept close to Elune. Now, it is widely understood, or at least accepted, that Elune wasn't worshipped in Highborn society. High Elves had no need for Elune's worship. that does not mean that there may not have been individual elves that certainly did worship Elune. I'm not saying it's true, but it is entirely possible. And something that sort of lends to this theory is the nicknames that the Windrunner sisters gave each other. Verisa, of course, was called Little Moon, whereas Sylvanas was called Lady Moon. In World of Warcraft, the moon is synonymous with Elune. You talk about the moon, you're almost inevitably talking about Elune. Now, many people simply argued that those nicknames was because of their hair. It was because of their looks. They looked like the moon, and therefore they were called Lady Moon and Little Moon. But again, I would point to the fact that there are giant gaping holes within the knowledge and history of the Windrunner family. There is every chance that the Windrunner family did worship Elune. That these daughters may actually have been gifted to Elune at their birth. That perhaps the Windrunner family themselves pledged their daughters' lives to Elune, that perhaps Sylvanas and her sisters worshipped Elune. This in fact might be, and I've made this argument before, why Sylvanas decided to burn down Teldrassil. You see, when Sylvanas needed Elune the most, when Arthas was inches away from stabbing her with Frostmourne and turning her into a banshee, Elune did not interfere. Elune was nowhere to be found. Her goddess, the one that she had worshipped all her life, the one who her parents basically granted her to, Elune did not help. So there's every reason to believe that this was Sylvanas lashing out, saying, if you weren't there for me, will you be there for them? And of course, the answers became clear. Elune wasn't there for the elves. And before any one of you think, well, she did put them to sleep, they still felt themselves burning. We have the evidence. Go run into Gorgua and stand there for a while and listen to the ghost speaking. The ghosts that enter from the Night Elf society, from the Night Elves that was burning, they could feel themselves burning alive. They were simply asleep, so they weren't screaming and yelling. But it wasn't much help, right? At the end of the day, Elune still forsook her people. And perhaps that was the point that Sylvanas tried to make. She wanted to see if Elune would actually come to their aid. And of course, she didn't. And now we have Tyrande's power fading at the moment of her oath. And perhaps that describes the sincerity that Sylvanas has in that moment. She understands. Because when it was her life on the chopping block, Elune was nowhere to be found. Again, like I said, big brain theory. No evidence for this because there's holes in the story. Perhaps the Sylvanas novel will actually cover some of her earlier days. I don't know. But it is possible. But there's one more theory of what may have happened there that may actually be far more convincing than the one of Sylvanas. And that is Elune and the Jailer. Now, for this theory, very little is known because everything I'm about to tell you is borrowed from Folk and Fairy Tales, the newest book that was released by Blizzard Entertainment, and there is clear links that can be pulled. It's a story about Anshe and Musha and their battle with the darkness. Now, I'm not going to go into the exact story and everything that happened there because it's really only the highlights that you need to know about. In their battle, Anshe and Musha, in their battle with the darkness deals a fatal blow to the heart of Anshe, a blow that would not heal. It leaves a wound that simply will not heal. Anshe and Musha, the sun and the moon. Who do we know in World of Warcraft that has a giant hole where their heart should be? The Jailer. Now, we have argued and thought that perhaps it's simply his power that was stolen from him. right? So they simply removed his sigil and his power was no more. But what if this folk and fairy tale is actually more true than we believe it to be? What if the Jailer once were the son, Anshe? What if the Jailer and Elune were partners, trying to fight off the darkness? The very thing that now, and there will be a video on this in the future, I am working on it as we speak, but the very power that basically conquered the Shadowlands, the darkness. The darkness that turned the Shadowlands into a realm of subservience. What if that story tells the story of how the Jailer and Elune lost the battle for the heart of the Shadowlands? Now, before you go, Akelon, that's impossible. The Night Warrior, or the Winter Queen herself states that the sigils were given to them long ago. Given to them by whom? The first ones, as we were led to believe. But what if that's bullshit? I have said this before, it does not feel like the Shadowlands is truly the realms of death. So the far bigger question is, who gave them those sigils? And I'm going to get into the sigils a lot more. I have a video that I'm planning to make about the Primus, which I think is going to be extremely good. So definitely look out for that. That's why you should subscribe to the channel, so you can get all of those videos that I'm planning to make based on these cinematics. But just a quick overview, I believe that the sigils wiped their memories. I believe that the sigils turned them into slaves of whoever gave them those sigils. This is one of the reasons Zuval wanted the sigils. To unlock whatever has been hidden, to unlock whatever has been taking control of the Shadowlands, or at least to unlock something that lies within Torghast. The story of Anshe and Musha and their battle with darkness has a lot of parallels with Zuval and Elune, and it's something that we ourselves have speculated on. Not just us, Pyromancer have speculated on this, Balular have made videos on this or mentioned it in videos. So at the end of the day, it is a speculation theory that's existed for quite some time. The link between Zuval and Elune. Ultimately, that link can definitely not be thrown aside. It's something that we have to keep in mind. And it might have been that link, the link between Zuval and Elune, that stopped Elune from destroying Sylvanas. Because ultimately, Elune wants what Zuval wants, the freedom of the Shadowlands. Perhaps she granted Tyrande the powers of the Night Warrior because she needs Tyrande to help bring about this change, to help free her sister and the other Eternal Ones from the mind control of the darkness. I'm gonna have videos on that very soon, but it is worth thinking about, I think at least. And with that, story time comes to an end. So if you enjoyed this video, please slap that like button, hit that subscribe button, and smash that bell that notifies you whenever I put up brand new content. To all of the patrons, the Twitch subs, and the YouTube channel members, thank you so much for your monthly contributions. It does mean the world to me. Thanks to you, this channel is still growing. It's growing stronger every single day. I quite literally wouldn't be here without you. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Remember, as patrons, you get access to podcasts every single week, as well as early access videos, and also if you subscribe for $10 or more a month, you get sort of behind the scenes videos, vlogs if you will, where I simply talk about things that I'm thinking about. It doesn't always have to be World of Warcraft related, sometimes it will just be about life, but all of that content is exclusively available to patrons. So thank you so much for your support. I love you from the bottom of my heart. As always, peace out, fam.
Tyrande, I understand you've been looking for me. Come then. Show me Elune's wrath.
Elune gave me her strength. The wrath is mine alone!